What if the world you think you know, the world of solid objects, of linear time, of unbreakable physical laws, isn't the true reality? What if it's a construct, an elaborate prison built for one reason, to keep you from knowing what you truly are? They describe powerful cosmic rulers who govern our material world. They are the Archons, and they act as cosmic jailers, shadowy wardens, whose job is to keep human souls from escaping their flawed creation. What if these weren't just myths? What if they were a hidden truth about our reality? A truth that has been intentionally suppressed for thousands of years. This is the story told in ancient Gnostic texts, unearthed from the Egyptian sands. A divine being named Sophia, which means wisdom, tried to create something on her own, without her divine partner. He needed a bureaucracy, administrators, and enforcers to manage his material realm. So, he created a host of beings in his own likeness, the Archons. There are typically 7 main Archons, a hebdomad, and each one rules over one of the 7 classical celestial spheres: the Moon, Mercury, Venus, the Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. When a soul tries to ascend after death, it has to get past each of these planetary gates, where an Archon stands guard, waiting to block its path. The Gnostics believe the Archons are intimately tangled up in our lives. They are the architects of the human body, a physical shell designed specifically to trap the divine spark inside us. Even more, they are said to be the source of the negative passions that haunt us: fear, anger, envy, and lust. For the Gnostics, the answer is a definite yes. The key is gnosis. It's a deep, intuitive, and world-shattering insight into the true nature of reality and yourself. It's the moment the divine spark inside you wakes up. To achieve gnosis is to see right through the illusion of the material world, to recognize the Archons for what they are, ignorant cosmic bureaucrats, and to remember your true home in the pleroma. It challenges us to question everything about our own reality. If you find these explorations into esoteric history and forgotten lore compelling, consider subscribing for more deep dives into the hidden corners of human belief. They urge us to look beyond the surface of things, to question all the systems of control, both outside of us and inside of us, that shape our lives. It's the courageous act of seeking truth for yourself, of fanning that divine spark into a liberating flame, and of realizing that the ultimate power never belonged to the jailers, but to the one who holds the key to their own cell. It leaves us with one final, unsettling question. What walls, in your own reality, are waiting to be torn down? They suggest that those feelings of alienation, of knowing that something is just wrong with the world, might not be a sign that you're broken, but the first stirrings of waking up. The Archons in this light become the forces of conformity, ignorance, and fear that try to keep us small and powerless. These emotions are the chains. They cloud our minds, tie us to the material world, and make us forget where we truly came from. It shows the rulers of our cosmos not as angels, but as ignorant jailers. And it puts the key to our own freedom, not in the hands of some external savior, but deep within our own consciousness. Through spiritual practice, revelation, and the guidance of a divine messenger often identified as Christ, a Gnostic could start to break free from the Archons. Influence even while still alive. They learn to master their passions, see past the veil of illusion, and connect with the divine light within. The Archons manipulate our thoughts and feelings, creating a psychic matrix of control that keeps us distracted, divided, and spiritually asleep. At each planetary sphere, it would face the Archon on guard, who would try to stop it. But a soul armed with gnosis couldn't be stopped. It knew the secret passwords, the powerful truths needed to bypass the gatekeepers. It could look each Archon in the eye and declare its freedom, stating that it was not of their world and was no longer bound by their laws. Once past all 7 spheres, the soul would finally shed the last remnants of the material world and return to the divine fullness from which it came. The word archon is Greek for ruler or lord, a deliberately political term that shows the Gnostics' rejection of all systems of control. For the Gnostics, we are deeply paradoxical creatures. We're trapped in a physical body made by the archons, living in a counterfeit world created by the demiurge. But every single one of us carries a divine spark inside, a tiny fragment of light from the true, transcendent God. This spark is a piece of Sophia herself, a memory of the pleroma that fell into the material world. These archons became the governors of the cosmos and the jailers of the human soul. They know it's something alien to them, a light that doesn't belong in their kingdom of darkness. Their main goal is to keep us from ever discovering this inner divinity. They do this by creating endless distractions, promoting materialism, and pushing belief systems that reinforce the authority of their creator, the demiurge. The Gnostic spin on the book of Genesis is a perfect example. In their version, the serpent in the Garden of Eden isn't a tempter, but a liberator and agent of the true God sent to urge Adam and Eve to eat from the tree of knowledge, the tree of Gnosis, so they might awaken to who they really are. The God who forbids them this knowledge isn't the true God, but the jealous archon-in-chief, Yaldabaoth, desperately trying to keep his creations under his thumb. This act of imbalance produced a monstrous, imperfect consciousness. Horrified and ashamed, Sophia cast this being out of the pleroma, the divine realm of light, and hid him in a cloud. Alone and unaware of anything greater than himself, this blind god mistakenly thought he was the one and only God. In one text, he arrogantly declares, "It is I who am God. There is none apart from me." And from this place of supreme ignorance, he began to create, fashioning a physical universe that was just a clumsy imitation of the spiritual reality he could never understand. This is when a radical set of religious ideas, now known as Gnosticism, began to spread. The Gnostics were mystics, thinkers who believed that salvation didn't come from faith or good deeds, but from gnosis, a direct, personal, and life-changing knowledge of the divine. To understand the archons, we have to go back to the first few centuries AD, a time of incredible spiritual and philosophical change. And female, in the faces of beasts, a physical symbol of their corrupt nature. But they aren't just evil. They're fundamentally ignorant. They serve a blind god, and just like him, have no idea that a true divine world exists beyond their prison. Their whole purpose is to maintain control, keeping souls trapped by the laws of matter, fate, and time. For a long time, all we knew about the Gnostics came from the writings of their enemies, who called them heretics. But that all changed in 1945. Near the town of Nag Hammadi in Egypt, a local farmer stumbled upon a sealed jar. It was crafted by a lesser, flawed being called the demiurge. The name, borrowed from Plato's philosophy, means craftsman. But in the Gnostic story, this craftsman is anything but benevolent. He's ignorant, arrogant, and often cruel. One of his common names is Yaldabaoth. Another is Samael, which can be translated as the blind god, and found a hidden library of ancient text scriptures written by the Gnostics themselves. Texts like the Apocryphon of John and the Hypostasis of the Archons revealed a stunningly different story of creation, one that flips conventional religion on its head. At the heart of this Gnostic myth is a shocking idea. Our world wasn't made by a perfect, all-knowing God. The story goes that the demiurge was born from a cosmic mistake, but Yaldabaoth didn't want to rule his broken kingdom alone. The Gnostic texts paint a terrifying picture of them. Their appearance is often described as grotesque and chaotic. The Hypostasis of the Archons says they have the bodies of both male, and don't think for a second these are distant, abstract forces. This gets us to the core drama of the Gnostic story, the human condition. The Archons are both envious and terrified of this divine spark. So if the world is a prison and we're guarded by cosmic jailers, is there any hope? Gnosis isn't just intellectual knowledge you learn from a book. This awakening is a process of liberation. The final exam came at the moment of death. The soul, freed from the body, would begin its journey back to the pleroma. This journey into the world of the Archons is more than just a forgotten myth. It's a powerful metaphor for spiritual awakening that has captivated seekers for centuries. The story of the Archons is a radical and defiant mythology. It frames our world not as a divine paradise, but as a flawed prison. Whether you take these Gnostic texts as a literal map of the cosmos or as a profound psychological allegory, their message is still incredibly potent. The path of Gnosis, then, is a path of rebellion. It's the refusal to stay a prisoner in a reality someone else built.